Time now for our weather chat, and today we are talking about hurricane season. Officially kicked off yesterday.
Yeah, and we already have things to watch out there in the Eastern Pacific, but for us it's expected to get off to a slow start. This is the forecast from NOAA. They're predicting 8 to 14 named storms. The average is 14, so around or slightly below normal hurricanes. They're forecasting 3 to 6, so that's a little bit below the average of 7. And then major hurricanes are forecasting 1 to 3. The average is 3. So again, around or slightly below the normal.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, they'll go into the probabilities of hurricanes making it close to Texas or making it close to the U.S. coastline. Major hurricane landfalling on the U.S. coastline, they've got about a 32% odds there, slightly below average. It kind of plays into this, right? At or below normal, slightly below normal. Now, last year, we didn't see any landfalling hurricanes here in the U.S., which was certainly a blessing, but we know that that is also very rare.
Very rare. And one of the things that they talked about as a reason they're not well below normal for the time of year is the sea surface temperatures. If you look at the Gulf and the Northern Caribbean, and off the East Coast, I mean, we have well above normal sea surface temperatures, but the primary driver of their slightly below average season, of course, is El Nino, which is that big plume of warmer waters that starts to come off of northern South America in the Eastern Pacific. There's a 90 or above chance of this developing through the peak of hurricane season.
And it might be counterintuitive to some thinking, well, how do waters in the Eastern Pacific affect winds in the Atlantic? Well, it's all connected. And, you know, there is a benefit of seeing those destructive winds in the Atlantic in this main development region because it makes it harder for these storms to organize and hold their not only organization, but further strengthen. But with those warmer temperatures, as Hannah mentioned, in the Caribbean and the Gulf, and certainly out here in the Eastern Pacific, we do expect higher activity in those areas. And as a reminder, we can get some pretty significant rains coming out of Eastern Pacific, storms that decay or get pulled into Mexico. So it is going to be a basin to watch.
For sure, something to watch for, and it's already active over there in the Eastern Pacific. Right now we have nothing to watch in the Atlantic. I mean, I'm watching the Gulf. This is an incredibly disturbed Gulf over very warm waters. But normally in June, it's closer to home that we watch for those formation areas. So we're getting into the season. We're going to be watching. But out in the Eastern Pacific, we already have this disturbance with an 80% chance of developing into a tropical depression now over maybe later today or into early tomorrow. So they're already getting things rolling there. Their season does start earlier, started on the 15th. But we have another area to watch down there near Central America as well. So a lot of activity already in the Eastern Pacific. The reason we don't really see a lot, especially in the main development region early in the season, is the Saharan dust, which we might actually see some getting to us by the start of next week.
Yeah, you think about, you know, the ingredients needed for a hurricane. Dry, dusty air is not going to help a hurricane further organize. So, you know, this unfortunately reduces our air quality. It can make it look very hazy out there, but it tends to be a very good thing, especially when we've got those big old plumes out there where the hurricanes develop. But could we potentially see some of that haze getting into Monday, Tuesday? Yeah, it's on the horizon, not something that looks to be a slam dunk yet. I think it's kind of trending a little bit more east.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's a light enough plume that we don't really see visible impacts from that. But again, June, we look closer to home in the Gulf, along the southeastern coastline of the U.S. And then later in the season, as the dust dies down, that's when those formation areas start to be in the main development region. That's why it's the peak of hurricane season. Yeah,
but you'll notice, you know, with the June, that blue color, that doesn't mean, you know, less confidence. It just means fewer storms, but up right against home. So we're going to, of course, keep an eye on it throughout the hurricane season. You can keep it on KXAN for more updates.